it's Miss A, got a lot to say on all the things we go through within the day. Politics, dating, recipes, traveling, and yep, of course, I'm the karaoke queen. I take no L's, I'm always booking flights. This is my lovely lunatic Leo life. Kaboom! Guess who stepped in the room? This is my lovely lunatic Leo life. Kaboom! Guess who stepped in the room? The one and only S.A. I had posted that I was looking for a podcast studio. 2 hours after I posted that, I'm walking home, minding my business, feeling a vibe. All right, guys, so this is upstairs of the podcast studio that I'm looking at. I'm having a meeting in a few minutes. I'm so excited. Like, look at the details. This place is so neat. This is the podcast studio. She's in there, so I want to go there. Look at this grass wall. Okay, if you come on my show, we're taking pictures right here. Okay, this is it. This is beautiful. I just love the whole ambiance. It's the most beautiful podcast studio, the dopest vibes. It's so freaking me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the one and only Miss A, and I welcome you here today. And I have a special guest, as always. And now this one is a special. I would say VIP special guest because she allows us to use her studio and to flourish and to shine. Miss Tawanda McKeecher.
Oh, she only practiced it all day, okay?
No, did I say it right?
Again.
McKeecher.
I mean, yeah, that was cool.
McKeecher, Tawanda from Empowerment Studio, the woman who put it all, her and her daughter, put it all together. Welcome. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on this show.
Of course.
And ever since I met you, I've been so happy and thankful and for this opportunity. So me, myself, on behalf of my guests as well, thank you, because every time somebody comes into the studio, the first thing they do is like, oh my God, I love this place. No, seriously, like it's a whole vibe. So thank you.
That's the goal. We wanted it to be a whole vibe. Like I even remember the first time I met you, you were like, I was walking down the street and I just knew I was like, this girl, I just love your energy. I love your energy, yeah.
Extra. And I found the phone number before I was 2 blocks away. I don't know how. I Googled, I Instagrammed, I Yelped, whatever I had to do. And I got the number and I was already excited because before I got here, like I said, I had a feeling. And then you answered the call.
Yes.
That changed my life. Seriously.
We're glad to have you here, though. We really, really are. Like, you bring a lot of energy here.
Thank you.
Just with the whole podcast. And I'm like, listen, Adrian is the podcast guru. Like, you got questions about podcasting? Ask Adrian. They be asking me stuff. I be like, listen, I opened up this joint. That don't mean I know all about it.
And I'm glad to help if anyone has questions because, honestly, I'm just learning it myself. I was always into internet radio, so I had other people doing whatever we have to do. Now it's just me doing it. So I'm still got a lot to learn, but I still have a lot to share, a lot of knowledge to share. And I actually talked about that in a couple of episodes ago about tips on starting a podcast. Okay. So you also want to start a podcast yourself.
I do.
Have you started or?
I actually did. You know something funny? I started like 2018 maybe, was it? 2018, I think. Wow. I actually did a podcast, and I did it with some other women that I was interviewing them. I don't think it was the right time at the moment because I wasn't enthusiastic about it, and maybe it's because I did not have the studio.
There you go.
And I was doing it over the phone, and I was just like, this don't feel good. It didn't feel genuine. Like, I need people.
Yeah.
You know, I need to reach out and touch somebody, okay?
Exactly.
You know, so it didn't feel authentic. But now I feel like I have this space here. And just the energy in here, I see what you do. Like when I come in here and I watch your stuff, and I'm just like, yo, she is so dope with it. I was like, yeah, I'm getting me a podcast.
Thank you.
Podcast. Listen, you ain't the only one that got a lot to say.
Right? Hey. Yeah. See, and you inspire me too because the way you're not afraid to let me know like how you feel about me and what I'm doing, and you know sometimes you have times in life where you feel down and you're not sure if you're doing the right thing, even though if you know it, like I know I'm supposed to be doing the right thing, but it's not going at the time that I want it to go at. You know what I mean? So you actually are a transformation coach, an author, and a speaker. So you speak to women about these kind of insecurities all the time, right?
All the time.
What got you started into being this person that's helping all these women? Like, what made you want it? What brought you to this level?
Girl.
From the beginning.
My life. How about that? Like, I always tell people I was my first client, because my life was a mess. Thinking about all the things that I had gone through, you know, from being born to a mom she just turned 14 by the time she had me.
Wow.
So, which means that, guess what? You know, she was just getting out of matter of fact, she just entered into teen years, you know, and thinking about being a mom, you know. She didn't have a mother to raise her because my grandmother was killed when my mom was 5 years old.
Wow, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh my gosh.
So by the time my grandmother was killed, she had already had 7 kids. So just imagine. So my mom had to go and live with her uncle who had 5 kids. I think eventually had 4 or 5 kids. So you got like 11, 12 kids in the household.
Wow. Dang.
So not a lot of love, time, and attention being doled out, because that's a lot of kids.
Yeah,
you know,
too much to be.
So, you know, my mom did what she did or whatever, and guess what? Here I am, okay?
Yeah.
But, you know, I grew up with a lot of insecurities, you know, and throughout my life, being sexually abused, homeless, domestic violence, you know, all of those things, the things that I teach women about are ultimately things that I went through. And so I did my work. I had to grow. I had to change my life. You know, I have 2 daughters who ultimately, they're watching me. You know, my oldest daughter is 30, my youngest is 17, and I needed to make sure that I sent them the right message.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a matter of, okay, do this, do that. I can say one thing, but they're watching how I'm living. They're watching what I'm doing. And I needed to make sure that I'm sending them the right message.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately how I started this journey. And then I looked out and I saw other women who looked just like me, who looked just like you. And I'm not talking about in the physical sense, but I'm talking about our issues, our ailments, all the things that we carry around, our insecurities, all of those different things. And I said, okay, well, I wonder if the journey that I went on would work for other women. So then I started teaching classes. I've rented the room at the library.
Wow.
You know, I've called a couple of my friends and I'm like, hey, this is what I want to do. And they looked at me like, okay, we don't know what this is, but we know you. So if this is what you say you're going to do, you're going to do it.
Right.
And that's how it was born. And that was back in 2007.
Oh, about 2007. So it's been a long time.
Yeah.
So the longer you do it, the bigger crowd you're bringing. Have you ever, like, when you first started speaking, was it something that you kind of try to doubt yourself a little bit? Like, did you want to fall back from it? Like, okay, I can't tell them my business.
Yeah. When I first started, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. Let me tell you. You see how you got your notes, right? So this is what I did when I first had the kickoff event. I had notes. And I'm like, yeah, after this, I'm going to say this. Oh, and then I'm going to hit them with this, right? I had all my notes. I was like, and then, I'm going to say this. I got to the event, and child, my notes was on the bed.
Oh, damn.
They was on the bed. So I had to just speak from my heart. But by the time I got finished, they was like, girl, you was preaching.
See, sometimes it's better. You left it there for a reason.
Exactly. And ever since that time, I don't speak with notes. Notes trip me up.
Yeah.
I be looking at the paper and I swear I wrote Chinese because I don't know what it said.
Yeah,
you know?
so I agree.
Need to just speak from my heart.
And so you have a nonprofit organization or 2, right?
It's not even a nonprofit anymore. When I first started it, it was a nonprofit because, girl, I just want to help the people, okay? Child, listen.
Helping the people costs a lot of money.
Helping the people costs money, and I didn't understand that. I was the front office, the back office, the side office.
My goodness.
You know, trying to figure out how we going to pay the rent, how we going to get money. And I was the teacher.
Damn, you was doing it all.
But let's not forget, I'm still somebody's wife. Hey, boo. Look, and I'm 2 kids' mother.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. Not like that. You know, so, and I still had to keep my day job, you know, which is ultimately also how I even started this, because by trade, I'm a property manager.
Okay.
And so I started out doing affordable housing. And so the tenants were supposed to be in my office paying rent. Child, they in there like on the couch. It was therapy sessions. Okay.
I believe it.
Because I'm trying to understand why you can't pay your rent. I'm going to need you to sit down and have some conversations with me. You know, and before I knew it, it was woman after woman just coming in my office, and we were having these conversations. And that's when that's when I knew that that God had given me a gift to be able to speak life.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to speak to women. And it's been on ever since. You know, there are good days, there are bad days, there are days when, you know, I have to fall back. There are days when I'm like, oh, girl, don't forget about your husband. You know, there are girls who are like, oh, I got to take the kids to school, you know, stuff like that. So it becomes this thing where I'm juggling, you know, so.
And sometimes you can't juggle too much. It'll stress you out. But one thing that I love is that even though you're speaking to so many different women, like, you're changing lives one by one. You know, each woman you spoke to you spoke to 5 women. Each of those 5 women left with a whole nother perspective of life, maybe changed their ways, even doing better for their kids. You know what I mean? So that is a lot to carry on sometimes, you know, if you put it like that, or if you think about it like that. So have you ever felt like you carried people's energies, or do you need therapy to go through helping so many people?
Well, first of all, I don't need therapy for other people. I need therapy for me. Because Tawanda got her own stuff, okay? I got my own stuff that I had to deal with and work through. Like, you know, I didn't understand not the point of therapy, because growing up, it's like, girl, you just go to church and you pray. You know, Jesus gonna fix it. But what happened when Jesus don't fix it? That's a real thing. I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. And there were a lot of things that, for all the work that I did do, there was still a lot of work that needed to be done, you know, and that's where therapy came in. And so I did go to therapy. You know, I did speak to somebody, and it was so, the revelations that came from that, the healing power that came from that, being able to share. Because I think ultimately at the end of the day, people just want to feel like they've been being heard.
Yeah, and like they're not the only one.
Exactly. So it wasn't even therapy. It wasn't even therapy like that I needed to go to for other people. It was therapy that I needed to do my work, because if I'm going to pour out, I need to be full. You know, I cannot pour from an empty cup. I need to do my work first. And what I do is I just take people on the journey that I've gone through. I can't take someone somewhere where I hadn't been.
Right.
And so that's all I do.
That's true. Wow. Were you ever, I saw some pictures, were you like in the medical field, like EMT or something too before?
Oh, you saw my doctor's robe?
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, there's another thing to add to the list?
Well, listen, I'm not a doctor, but I consider myself a heart specialist. Okay. And so the picture that you saw was me in a robe doing surgery on the soul.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I like to get in character.
Okay, that helps.
Love a good character.
That people pay attention.
Yeah, you know, and so you have to meet people where they are. So when I teach, when I do workshops and things, it's not just, okay, me sitting here talking to you, or I'm giving you a bunch of handouts or any of those things. Like, no, I'm in character. And I am making sure that you have an actual experience, because it's one thing if I tell you what the problem is, but it's a whole nother thing when you discover for yourself what it is. So what I do is, God has given me the ability to be able to facilitate the process. And so all I am is, I'm an agent, you know, I'm a vessel to be able to allow people the opportunity to just see themselves. All I do is hold a mirror up to you.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Excusez-moi. Now, I need some help, because I feel like I'm a good speaker too, you know. I haven't really had many speaking engagements. You did give me my first speaking engagement not too long ago.
You were the best. You did your thing.
Thank you.
You represented, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that, honestly, when you have the ability to be able to stand in your authentic self, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to do it like anybody else. Don't try to talk or say it like anybody else. Just stand in the power of who you are, and that's exactly what you did.
And I try to do that every day. You know, I'm done pretending, and I'm glad you brought that, because that leads me into this. I actually posted a picture on Instagram, my lovely Lunatic Leo Life, and it was a picture of me at 10 years old, and I had like a goofy face on. I was doing some kind of goofy thing. looking at the picture, you're like, this little girl is so cute. She's so precious. She's so cute. But at 10 years old, I hated myself. I grew up in a town where there was only a few black people in my elementary school. I used to want to be white, and I wished my name was Tiffany.
Okay.
Tiffany, our girl. Yes. So it's funny because somebody from school sent me that picture, and I was just like, oh, but then I felt the sadness of the little girl. So I want to speak to younger, like little girls that were like me, who felt like they were ugly, you know, boys didn't like me. I was always a friend. I was chasing boys around in elementary school, you know what I mean? Like, because now I feel like it's even worse because of social media. So they need somebody to talk to them and let them know, I grew up feeling this way, and look how dope I am now, you know? So I wanted to kill myself at 14 years old. Yeah. If I would have did that, I wouldn't be here to be able to help people find their happiness or live their best lives. So I feel like it's important for young girls. I want to go to schools and speak. I don't know how to start the process or what to do, but I feel like it's important that they hear from somebody and who still kind of feels young. You know, I might be 40 soon, but I don't feel like I'm about to be 40. I still feel like I still got the young vibe where the kids will listen to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can help me getting into that life or how to go about doing it, but I definitely think it's important for young girls to feel like you're beautiful no matter what.
Yeah, not getting into that life though. She like, help me get
yeah, I mean that.
you know, if you can help me get into that life. That life really is, it's about the life that you are living. And like you said, because remember when I just was talking about taking somewhere where you haven't gone. You've gone through that journey. You know, those 14-year-old pictures, like I remember those pictures, you know, sitting there as a little girl with I had this dirty brown color hair, right? When I was younger, and my mom used to give me a curly kid. Wait, I need to digress for
I was like, a curly kid?
A curly kid, right? A Jerry Curl.
Oh.
But now, did you see this thing they talking about a Gina Curl?
Gina Curl? Who the hell's Gina, first of all?
Exactly. First of all, when I saw the process of what they were doing, I was like, that is nothing but a Jerry Curl. I had a Jerry Curl when I was a little girl with these little red rollers. Yes, I had the red rollers because I was bald head. Okay? I had the little red rollers. But I remember, like you said, looking at those pictures, and it takes you back to when you were that age. And we were so, honestly, and I can relate, so insecure.
Yeah.
And we didn't know. And like you said, having those thoughts like, I don't want to be here, feeling like I'm ugly, feeling like nobody wants me, like, you know, all of these things. And so that is a message that needs to be driven home, you know, because I think most people feel it. And now what you were mentioning about social media, everything that we go through is heightened now.
Oh,
so
man.
Everything that we feel is heightened. So there's FOMO, so there's that fear of missing out. There is jealousy that's heightened. There's envy that's heightened. There is comparison. All these things are heightened because it's on display. But what people don't realize is that people are only posting their best picture.
Facts.
Like, I know, y'all see my picture, right? Y'all only getting a good one. But what you don't see is that it took me 15 pictures to get that. 15 pictures and maybe 2 filters. Let's not talk about the filter. That filter life is ridiculous. I'm
obsessed. If I don't have a filter, I feel like I look old as hell.
This is what I'm saying. So it's like we are comparing our real life through a filtered lens. Just imagine that. It's not real. What we see online, it's not real. People have the ability now to alter reality.
Yeah.
And so how do you compare your real life to an altered life? And that's the message. So what I would say to you is, if you ultimately want to get into the schools, then you put together a curriculum, put together a talk, put together what your specialty is going to be. Think about, you know, the programming that you want. We need to do some of that here. Maybe you can run a class here. There's schools down the street. Kids can walk here.
Yeah.
You know, there's always something that can be done. When I first started, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know what I was doing. All I knew was that this is what I wanted to do. I knew that this was the call that was on my life. I didn't know how it was going to be. I stepped out on faith, and God honored that.
No.
It's the obedience part, being obedient. the thing that keeps you up at night, inevitably, it's the same thing that wakes you up in the morning. It's that call. It's the thing that will not leave you alone.
Right.
So when it's like that, that's the thing that you have to answer to.
And it's your purpose too. You can't run from your purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and once
you can run.
True.
You can run, but you will not have peace.
Right, exactly. It won't work out that well for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I think that's amazing what you're doing. And, you know, it takes time to hone your craft. And so I know it's been a few years, but you here, you glowing up, and you allowing others to glow up just by this studio alone. Like, even me just meeting you through here, I didn't know half of what you've done already in the works. You know what I mean? So there's another person you're inspiring right here to do better and to feel like I deserve to feel pretty and be creative however I want to be creative. There's no judgment here at all in the Empowerment Studio.
That's right.
You know, and I've met some wonderful women. As a matter of fact, I do need the contact for the woman who has her television show.
Okay.
Because I do need to talk to her. Yeah. I was mad I had to leave early that day. But
she'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, good. Okay, yes, I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So tomorrow
well, by the time they see this, it'll be over.
It'll be over, yes. Yeah, but it's very important what you're having tomorrow. Is She Matters.
She Matters.
Okay. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So matter of fact, She Matters actually came from. It's twofold, because remember when we were here and the first time you spoke here, right? And during that moment when I was speaking to a group of young Africans from Africa that were here, and the Empowerment Studio got chosen as one of the businesses that they would visit. While I was here working with them, empowering them, and speaking to them, the Supreme Court was overturning Roe versus Wade, and literally in that moment, changing women's equality. And I couldn't understand it. And someone said to me, you know, while you were there, this is what was going on. And for 2 days I sat, and I didn't really know how to feel. You know, I could not sleep because I'm like, what does this mean? Like it was a hard pill to swallow. You know, as a woman who have exercised her rights to do whatever it is that I want to do with my body. That's my choice. How do you tell me that I no longer have that choice?
That's crazy to me.
It's something that my mind cannot even understand. And so I said, okay, well, if I'm feeling this way, I said, I wonder how many other women are feeling this way. I said, and we need to be able to have this conversation because collectively as women, we need to be able to process this major blow that was just given to us and our equal rights and women's equality. Like, I don't understand that. And so I reached out to an organization called Spanish Chapin, and they're actually a pregnancy choice organization. And so they work with families and children. And I asked them if they were interested in partnering with me to be able to have this conversation. So they're partnering with me. I have assembly women. I have pastors.
Wow.
I have women who work in the community who are all coming here at the Empowerment Studio to do just what we do. Empower. That's the whole goal, to be able to empower. And we need to be able to have those conversations. We need to be able to let women know that, one, that we do have a voice, that there is power in our voice, and we need to be able to assimilate, to have those conversations so that we can understand what this means. And not only what does this mean, but how do we move forward? You know, Dr. King says, you know, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So while here in Jersey, we may still be able to exercise our rights, our sisters in Mississippi, Texas, all those other states, they don't have that. They don't have that. And so it opens up the door for a whole host of other conversations, because then what are our alternatives? What exactly do we do? And just because it's happening there, don't think that we're immune to it, because we are not. And that's the goal of the conversation. And the conversation is, she matters. And so it's yes, she does matter, but these are she matters of the heart.
Wow, that's important. That's very deep. I did an episode in my first season about an abortion I had in 2016, but it took me a long time to talk about it, so it wasn't something I could just talk about. And then in this season, episode 1, I spoke about it a little bit. But from that first episode, when I talked about my abortion, so many women, people I knew and people I didn't know, reached out to me and thanked me for being open and honest about what I went through. You know, because sometimes it's like they put something on you if you had an abortion. So it's like you're considered like not a good person or whatever. And I showed people like I felt like I was a bad person for years.
Listen, by you giving voice to it, that's what removes the stigma from it. Because then other women can look at you and they can see themselves in it. And so it's the same thing when I teach, when I work with women, we have a whole list of layers that we deal with, right? And one of them is abortion. And I talk freely about the abortion. And I'm going to say abortions with an S, because I've had more than one. And I think about times in my life where what was going on. And it's like, okay, I am not ready for another child. Or I'm thinking about, okay, I don't want to have a child with you.
Right.
You know, all of those different things. But those are real things. And then what happens is you carry that stigma around and you wear it as if it's the full essence of who you are, and it's not. It was a moment in time in your life that you grapple with, because when you walk into a clinic, whether you do, don't, or whatever the case is, that's not an easy decision.
No.
That's not something that you take light, but it does not diminish who you are. And that's what happens when you go through different things. And it's not even just with abortion. If you've ever been molested, if you've ever been in, through sexual abuse, any of those things, they rob the essence of who you are. They take something from you. And when I tell you, one of the reasons why I work with women on esteem, and because I dealt with that. You understand? If there's something that happens to you when you've been violated, and most people don't know the fullness of how women's souls ache, how much we cry at night, and the things that we go through, all because we're trying to piece ourselves back together.
Right.
And so in the process of us trying to piece ourselves back together, we're dealing with contention from one another.
Right. Oh gosh.
Like, how does that work? Because I am you and you are me.
Right.
And if we get an opportunity to really, really talk to one another, we can see that we're more alike than we're different. We really are.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I agree. But like you said, some people don't want to take the time. They'll be jealous because you're able to talk and be honest and open versus them. Like people, little things cause big jealousy. And
but that's
this is
work, though. You understand?
Yeah.
What I'm saying? If you see someone who's able to stand in her truth, you best to know she did work.
Yeah, it's not easy.
You don't wake up like that. I don't care, Beyonce. I don't care what you said. You did not wake up like that. Look, no. You don't wake up like that. You grow into that. You have to lean into that, and you accept the parts that were yours, because not everything is 100% somebody else's fault. How we respond to it also, we play a part in that. But there are some things that happened to us that wasn't our fault.
Right.
But when we can acknowledge those pieces, we can start putting them back together.
This is a good conversation, Miss Tawanda.
Okay, Miss A.
Wow. So now you have a couple of books out, don't you?
I have 2 books. Yeah.
2 books, okay. Life Recycled and 21-Day Transformation Journey.
Yes.
What are they about?
Okay, so a life recycled is basically just explaining to you what a life recycled is. So when you think about something being recycled, right, we think it's junk because we just put it in a recycle bin. We just drank some water, or we just had some finished with some papers or boxes or whatever, and we're done with them, so we throw them away. Think about a life being recycled. What people threw away. When people tell you that you aren't anything, that you'll never be anything, that because your life was here, because I didn't finish high school, because I dropped out in the 12th grade because I didn't have anywhere to live, people will throw you away.
Yeah.
And they will dismiss you. Don't dismiss me. Don't count me out because you don't know what God has for me. So a life recycled is about giving your life. You'll hear me say a lot about God because I love God.
As you should.
Listen,
as we
I
do.
love God, okay? Because he helped save my life, gave me that foundation. And so when I talk about a life recycled, it's you giving your life to God. And it's allowing him to take all of the stuff that you went through in your life and you trade it in, and he gives you beauty for your ashes. He can take all of that stuff, what we think is junk. And I'm like, okay, how do you use the fact that I was molested? How do you use the fact that I had abortions? How do you use the fact that I was a high school dropout? How do you use the fact that I was homeless? How do you use all of that and turn it into something? Well, evidence. Look around you.
Okay.
Look at the things that he's used me to do. So if God can do that for me, and he's no respecter of persons, he can do that for anybody. And so that's what a life recycled is. And the 21-day transformation journey is me taking you on a journey for 21 days. I love devotionals. Okay. So I love writing. I love journaling. So I created a daily devotional, which you read every single day. It's something that you read every day for 21 days. You answer a couple of questions. You get an opportunity to journal. And by the 21st day, it gives you a new perspective. The whole goal is designed to be able to give you a new perspective.
And it's based off of you because you're writing and you're journaling. So
it's based off of you, exactly. Like I'm giving you a daily lesson. And so what you're doing is you're extracting the information from the lesson and then you're applying it to your life. And every single day, it's helping you to be able to peel back layer after layer. Because a lot of times we only know what we know until someone else gives you a different perspective. And then you get an opportunity to be able to say, okay, well, I didn't think about it like that. And so then it helps you to reframe your thought process, so that way you can be able to enter into different situations differently.
Okay, so I like that idea. So it's also like a workbook too.
It is a workbook. Yeah, and it's the 21-day transformation journey, lessons for your soul.
Lessons for your soul.
Lessons for your soul.
I'll put that down there, and they can get this on Amazon.
They sure can.
Both of them.
Well, the first one, a life recycle. As a matter of fact, you actually can. I don't even really push a life recycle anymore, honestly, because I'm so in love with the 21-day transformation journey, because it just goes a little bit deeper. I feel like the first one was me kind of like getting my feet wet and trying to understand that whole publishing thing and putting myself out there because I self-published. And it was one of those things was like, ooh, we did it. Like, I did it. But then by the second one, it was just like, okay, yeah, I did it.
Yes.
I did it.
Yes. See, that's another inspiration. I'm also, I put it on pause, but I was writing a memoir. It will be a 3-book memoir, actually. And I need you for that, too, to help me. I started writing it, but now I'm focusing on my podcast, but that's something else that has to get out there, too. It's about, like, the last 10 years of my life and what I've gone through that led me up to this moment now, you know? And hopefully at the end, they'll have a love story. So I'm still working on that part, but, you know.
Not a love story, y'all.
You got to finish the book with a beautiful love story. So, again, you and your daughter put this place together. And I wanted to talk about the relationship between you and your daughter because you're talking to women, you're empowering women. And, you know, me and my mother, we don't have such a great relationship. You know, we're still trying to work on it to this day, but we've never, even when I was younger, it still was a little bit rocky. So you and your daughter working together, you guys seem to have a beautiful relationship. Is it like putting it together at this place? How was it, or did it help build your relationship even more? Because this is a powerful place.
Well, it's interesting, and you talk about you and your mom too, because I feel like sometimes with my youngest daughter, that's how it is a little bit. So my youngest, she's 17, and it's kind of like we clash a lot. So it's like I'm still working on, working with her. She just the other day, she said to me, I did a workshop somewhere and she was there, and she finally said to me, she was like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. She was like, yeah, that's my mother.
Aww.
And I never heard her say that. You know what I'm saying? So it can happen, you know. But my oldest daughter, me and her have always had a really, really good relationship. Now, if you think about it, both of my children are 13 years apart.
Wow.
Yeah, they're 13 years apart. So my oldest daughter, who her name is Kari, she had me for the first 13 years of her life. So we did everything together.
True.
You know, it was just her. She was an only child. So we were able to build that relationship. But when it came time to open up the studio, one, she's very creative. So she makes wigs. She's always been artistic. She's the kid that draws Mickey Mouse and designs on my wall. And I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You know, even as a 5-year-old child, she's interior designing and moving furniture in her bedroom. Like,
wow, at 5, right?
Is redecorating her room.
I didn't do that until I was like 26.
Yeah, this girl, and I didn't pay any attention to it. You know, I didn't think of it like, oh, okay, that's a gift. This is what she's, you know. But I didn't realize it until maybe a couple of months ago. She opened up her studio. She opened up a hair studio because she makes wigs. And so her studio was beautiful, and I looked and I was like, this is beautiful. Fast forward a couple of months later, I had an idea to be able to open up this studio. And honestly, what you see here in all the rooms, even upstairs in the lounge, it was not my idea.
Wow.
I just needed a place where I can teach classes. All I wanted to do was just get women together, teach some classes. So all I needed was tables and a TV. I'm good, girl. She came in and she supersized the whole thing. She was like, no, we're going to do this. And I'm like, well, how much is that going to cost? Okay? Because all I wanted to know was how much it was going to cost. And then before I looked up, it was like, about $20,000 later. And I'm like, wait, what? But you know what? I wouldn't change it. The space is so beautiful when you walk in.
Yeah.
The vibe of
Seriously.
it. The lighting, the natural lighting that comes in here is everything. The upstairs, the empowerment lounge, like all of that was her. Every time I turned around, she wanted to buy something new. She just bought a air hockey table.
What? Oh, it's supposed to be litty.
Yes, she's doing these singles events on Friday night. So it turns into, this is the Empowerment Studio by day. She turns it into studio after dark at night.
Oh, okay. I hope I get VIP up in there for the singles nights.
Yeah, so, you know, because she's like, Mom, I'm about to find me a man.
I know, that's right. And this is a perfect place to have that event. That's so cool. Well, we got to promote that too, because for our singles like me, we need to find our men. And actually, one of the students, or one of the young leaders that came from Africa, she was asking me about this wall, which I'll show y'all the wall. And she was like, what is it? What was the meaning without showing their eyes?
Yeah, when you left, they were asking me that question because we did a Q&A session too. And it's so interesting because when we were looking for the backdrop for what we wanted that wall to be, we found all kind of stuff. So it was going to be flowers. It was going to be like greenery. We were trying to figure out what. And then one day my daughter was online and she was on Etsy and she came across this picture. And mind you, ever since then she hasn't been able to find it.
Really?
She came across this and she sent it to me and she was like, Ma, I have the perfect thing. And she sent it to me and I was like, that is it.
Wow.
And when I saw it, it has all of the characteristics of all different types of women. And the fact that they don't have eyes, it lends you to see you.
Yes.
That's the part
ironic.
that I love. That when you look at it, you're looking at it, but you're actually seeing the representation of who you are, because you can tell a lot through a person's eyes. So I didn't want women to look at it and to see other people. I want you to look at it and I want you to be able to see you.
I love it. It's beautiful. And that's a good answer. You guys, now I know what to say to people, but no, it's amazing. This place is beautiful. You can rent it out. You can rent out the podcast studio. And so it's strictly for women, but men can come to the events though.
Men can come. because men can't just come and be like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to have a party, or I want to do this. No, my brother, you got to get your own. Look, no.
In a nice way.
I wanted a space, honestly, where it could just be for women. Sometimes, when you add men to the mix of things, it turns into something different. And I wanted it to be an empowering space. I wanted it to be a safe space for women to grow. Where you come here, you feel empowered. When you come here, you understand that the conversations that we have here, they stay here. I wanted you to be able to feel like you can let your hair down. If you wear a wig, girl, you can take it off in here, okay? You understand what I'm saying? So I wanted it to be that type of space, and I wanted to be able to create that type of environment. And so that's why it's the empowerment studio for women. But men can come. Men have been here. People have events, and of course men come. It's not like men can't come. Listen, we love men. I got men, okay? Listen. So men can come, but the whole design of it is to be able to help women, empower women to do the things that we want to do.
Good. Did you see it taking off so fast?
No. I didn't. I had one other thought in mind, that I was just going to work with other women who wanted to teach classes and be coaches, and they were going to pay this whole membership, and it was just going to be that, and then we would have a calendar. Okay, you get the first week, I get the second week, you get this day, I get that day. It sounded good in my head. It sounded good in my head, and people were like, "Oh yeah, I like that." But nobody was buying it. Nobody was signing up. I was like, y'all don't want this?
What are we doing wrong?
Yeah, exactly. So at first I had started to get a little sad, because I was like, well, if somebody introduced that to me, I was like, I would want that. Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, Tawanda, you do want it. That's why you built this, right? But then someone said to me, well, do you rent it out for a brunch? And I was like, no. My daughter was like, yeah, we do. I was like... I said, okay, well, yeah, we do, right? So then people started having brunches and parties, and within reason, because it's still residential / commercial, but it's been the most amazing thing. Like every week we are literally like booked and busy. Wow. And I'm just like, okay, God, come through.
Right. So you weren't actually thinking big enough.
I wasn't.
You weren't thinking big enough.
Don't tell
but
her.
No,
I was thinking small.
Listen, we do that as human beings. We don't think big enough sometimes, because we're thinking either it's going to be too much time, too much money, or you're just not even literally thinking too much, And then when it happens, it all comes together, and you'd be like, wow, I did this. So it's amazing. I didn't expect, as I was putting my podcast together, I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just know I like to talk. Yeah. The dancing thing came thinking after like the first episode, like maybe I'll have my guest dance in my theme song. I didn't think about that.
No, can I just tell you that I freaking love that dance song. Okay? I was at home, y'all. Mind you, I don't got no moves. I only got 1, 2. That's it. That's all you're going to get. But I was like, oh, I'm going to be on the podcast. Let me practice. I was like, hey, Miss A, got a lot to say. Hey. I was just like, girl, you better get it together. You on tomorrow. So I was trying to practice my moves. So I don't know what that intro going to look like, girl. But listen, I gave it all I got. Okay, I gave it all I got.
Just know I'm going to hook it up as I always do. Okay. My editing skills comes into play. I'm still learning, but
no, you dope. I can see your editing skills. I'd be like,
thank you.
Make me look like that.
Yeah, we definitely got it. We definitely got you. Okay. We're going to get it popping. And I don't know why I just said that. Sometimes I say things that I hate, like, well, I'm going to get it popping.
It's cute, though.
I know, but when I say it, I'm like, oh, I'm corny sometimes too. So I'll be like,
but that's just be who you are.
That's me. I am.
It's okay.
So where do you see the studio in about five years?
Dag, 5 years. Well, according to everybody else, because within 1 week, I think I had got 2 or 3 messages and calls like, when are you opening up the next studio?
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, and I was just like, first of all, I'm trying to get this studio together. Like, so y'all talk about other studios, but then it really, honestly, it got me to thinking, which is part of what you were saying before, playing small, thinking small, and I'm thinking about it, in terms of what this brand looks like. What does the Empowerment Studio brand look like? And that's kind of where I am. Does this grow past here? Because one, the capacity is only but so much, you know. So it's like, does that mean that I open up other studios in other places? Like, I don't know. And you know, people sometimes they like, oh yeah, my 5-year vision, my 10-year vision. Y'all, I'm not even gonna sit here and hold y'all. I don't have that right now. Okay, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, because you know, I'll be so fascinated. People like, yeah, in 5 years I see myself, and I'd be like, good, because I'm trying to see myself tomorrow.
Right. Okay.
I really don't know. Like, I dream, and I dream a lot, and sometimes in my mind, my dreams scare me, you know. But I can't even really say, okay, yeah, I have this big lofty dream for this or whatever, because I really don't. Honestly, we'll have to see, you know, what comes from this, you know. But one of the things that I definitely do want, I want more people to podcast, because I want women to be able to understand the power of their voice. So I do want that to happen, and I just want to see a lot more events in terms of the creativity, content, helping women to really, again, I'm big on helping women to understand their voice. But before we can even get to the point of them understanding their voice, there's a lot of healing that has to take place that stops people from standing in their authenticity. So if we can start to stand in our authentic selves, then that will give so much power to our voice.
Yeah.
Speak facts, girl.
I agree with that 100%. Because like I said, it took me a long time to be able to talk about certain things, but I had to heal and go through my own journey. And then once I'm finally able to talk about it, I can express it to you more to help you get through it yourself. You know, not just the same situation as me, but some other kind of situation that kind of relates to what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to promote?
I want people to come by the studio. If you are in the New Jersey, New York area, come check out the studio. Yes. Honestly, it is really for real. It's a whole vibe here. You looking for somewhere to get your creativity flowing, just walking into the space. I've never seen anything so powerful. Like, I come in here to work sometimes and I'll start over in that corner, and then I'll end up in the podcast room. I'll end up upstairs in the lounge. I'm all over this place because it's just that creative. So come and join the Empowerment Studio. It's really a great space. It really is.
And this place, honestly, it gives me such good vibrations that sometimes, either when I'm here doing my podcast or just walking in or even walking past, I really kind of get choked up a little bit. Like, I'm not even trying to be extra. Like, I really get choked up, but it's like happy choked up. You know what I mean? Because I'm so happy and grateful that this place even exists. So it would be one day when you're able to spread this place all over, maybe all over nationally, who knows? Like, just know it's going to be so many people like me and the people that you've already spoken to during your lifetime. You're making a huge difference and a huge impact. And again, I got to thank you. And I'm going to keep thanking you even when I'm somewhere doing something greater than what I'm doing now. I'm always going to thank you.
Wow. Praise God. Thank God. You know, thank God that I was able to just step out on faith. Yeah. Because that's ultimately what this is. And sometimes we get scared and we don't always know what that looks like.
And fear is real. Fear is real.
Fear is real. You know, sometimes if you wait for the fear to leave you, you won't do anything. You have to do it in spite of fear. That's one of the reasons why we have courage. Yeah. We wouldn't need courage if it wasn't for fear. You know, so we just have to just do it and take a step and shake all the way and cry all the way. I don't care.
Let
just
it out.
Do it.
Yeah. And again, even if you're scared, sometimes that's an inclination that you're on the right path. You know, as long as you don't stay in that fear-based place for too long, you can be scared, you can cry, you can be nervous. It's okay to have those emotions. Just don't sit in it for too long, you know, and your dreams will come true.
What she said.
And on that note, we are out. Thank you again so much, Tawanda, for coming on my show, and again for allowing me to have this space.
Thank you for having me. This was beautiful because I was wondering how you have a podcast in my studio, okay, and have all these other dope people up here, and I'm like, okay, when is it gonna be my turn? Okay.
when she asked that, and I don't know, like I really don't know. It was one of those things like, duh, why aren't you on my show?
It was obvious. It was just like you just here, you know. But listen, this is really, really cool. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. And we out, y'all. Peace. Yes. Politics, dating, recipes, traveling, and of course,
Oh, I love it.
that was beautiful.
How long did we do?
I was practicing it so much today.
Why you didn't call me? Look, I can't dance, but I know